Hi, I'm Natasha Lockhart. Welcome to Studio Chatter. We have a fabulous show planned for you today.
I'm Stacy Beck. We'll talk with a local caterer whose business is busting at the seams.
And I'm Angie Murphy. Are you in the market to sell your house or buy a new one? We'll talk about that.
And we'll get serious about sexual assault. That's coming up on Studio Chatter. Welcome to Studio Chatter. It's past Labor Day and Christmas decorations are already in the stores.
No.
I bought my wrapping paper last week at Hobby Lobby. It's this cute gingham, Natasha.
This isn't so cute.
This is the trend of fall.
Yep, it is.
So my wrapping paper, I can't even wait. And I got all the
I had
matching
that
ribbons.
last year. Oh, good. And Costco's had the ribbon for like a month or something.
Wait, you bought your Christmas wrapping paper?
Yes.
So I actually did do some online shopping for Christmas.
Did you?
So yes. So
I have not yet, but I'm thinking about it.
I've not ever really done that before, so I must be excited. And I was really, really excited. I think it was the last time we filmed. I hadn't been into a mall, so I was super excited.
Because you went into a mall.
I actually set foot into the mall.
And she's
all
still
by
excited
myself.
about it.
I'm still excited about it. It was exhilarating. I think I had gone in. I can't even remember why I had gone in, but I think it was just on the heels of maybe some last minute school shopping. And I had to grab maybe something for one of the kids, but I remember Bath and Body Works being open, and I think it was the last day of some candle promotion or something. So of course I didn't buy one candle, I bought like 12 candles.
Because you were so happy
I was
to be
so
there.
happy and I was so excited, and it was the all of the fall stuff. So it was the what's the one that I love about sweater? It's the sweater weather.
Yes, I bought
Candle.
that.
I do have
Soap. I like that.
So
It is, fall is a fun,
It is.
Oh, fall is
but
the
every
best.
season. Well, maybe winter.
Just that transition. I think you're like ready. Summer was so hot towards the end, and so it's been so nice today.
To have some cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, it dropped quickly. So
It did.
So talking about Labor Day, so it was kind of a first for everything. So I still haven't been into a restaurant.
But we've gone to the mall.
Yes,
So you can
been
go to a restaurant.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. Yeah. And not because I haven't meant to. There have been a couple of opportunities. It just hasn't really happened.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we did head out on a road trip to see Grandma and Grandpa for the long weekend for Labor Day. And my mom had planned this fantastic camel safari adventure for
Where?
I've never heard of that.
I know.
Never.
So,
Did you go to Africa?
No.
Or Egypt.
But I had no idea where we were going. So it was on the outskirts of Mesquite, Nevada. So it was hotter than blazes, and it was in this little place called Bunkerville. So I had no idea where we were going. I'm like, are we going to Joe Exotic's farm, or where where are we going? And you kind of think that you might be going there when you first pull up to the gates, because it's on the bridge where the Bundy standoff was. So that whole federal standoff that had gone on, but they meet you at the gates and they take you into this fantastic, it's like a reservation with all of the landscape is just beautiful. It's about 2 miles up the Virgin River, and they have 34 camels. They used to do camel rides. You can't do the rides anymore because of COVID, but
They're afraid the camels will get COVID.
I guess
We don't know.
Yeah,
We don't
who
know.
knows?
Maybe.
Okay.
But they take fantastic care of the camels, and you get to feed the camels, and you get to be up close and personal with the camels, and they have this fantastic animal handler, and they have these other kind of exotic animals. And of course, Gunnar was just enamored with the sloth named Ambien, so we got to see Ambien the sloth, and the hedgehog, and some of these other like the little armadillos, and just some of all of these other little, I don't know, like desert creatures. So it's like 113 degrees.
Oh my God.
I know, so hot. But they gave us these breaks, and they gave us this catered lunch and these Mongolian gurs, so they keep it nice and cool in there. And it was just, I mean, I had never dreamed. I thought I had.
So just outside of Mesquite.
Just outside
And
of
was there a
Mesquite.
lot of people that attended this?
No. So that particular day, because again, it was just hot. So
Right.
whew, it was hot.
You've got to be crazy. to go on
113,
that.
yeah. No.
Right. So no, you book the parties online, and there was just another party. They had their party of 4, and it was just our little party, and then they take you on an army truck to get up close and personal the first time with the camels, and then you kind of get a break, and then you come back, and then they bring some out that are actually with the bridles, and then you get to pet them close. But there you go, and kind of back and forth to the shaded areas or a cooled area, and then the kids were able to do a craft. And I know I'm just very excited about it. I'm taking all this time, but if you ever have the opportunity, highly recommended.
That's so
Okay,
interesting.
that is-
I've never thought of that as an adventure, but that sounds kind of
Right?
fun. It'd be cool to be able to ride them.
I know.
It
I
would
want to
be.
go when.
And I think maybe again, non-COVID, they might, and they know that they did there's a couple of things they said that they do for like videos or special bookings or occasions maybe.
Right.
But yeah.
That's fun.
Neat.
You two both went to the movie theater though.
Yes. What did you see?
see? I can't remember. Tenant?
That's what I saw.
Is it? Okay.
Were you
Was that the name?
Yes.
Well, Bo, going into it, he said, you may be confused the first time seeing it, so don't try and figure it out. Just roll with it. Me and Rhett were both glad that he told us that.
Okay.
Because then when we just went with it. And I liked it.
I did
you?
too. Yeah, I had booked another one, and I told my friend, I finally booked tickets to the movie theater. And she's like, what are you seeing? And when I told her Unhinged with Russell Crowe, she's like, dumb movie.
Someone told me
gore,
that too.
Plot, just don't even. So then I returned those tickets and bought Tenna, and
I was happy.
yeah, it felt good to just sit there with your feet up in the big screen,
My
eating
blanket and
popcorn. Yeah,
popcorn.
blanket. That was good.
Oh,
so
it
right
does.
before the movie, we were cooking dinner, and we were taking the whole family, and we were just doing hamburgers, and I had fresh avocados to cut, and I deserved it, but I get my little knife and I hold it
Right
like
there.
that, and
I've done that.
and I got 4 stitches.
Oh my, Stacy.
And
So it was
My
bad.
paring knife was dirty, so I had a serrated knife, so it was jagged. But I've had so many close calls. I knew better. Like
You need silicone
my
gloves or
husband is
something.
like, you need to put it on, like flat. Is that how you guys do your pit? Lay your knife like this and then kind of turn it.
Yeah. I thought you meant when you're slicing them like into slices in
No,
the
it's
skin.
whenever
I've
I
done
do
that
the
before.
pit.
Oh, the pit. I hold it and then chop it with a knife.
Like
and
that?
then- yeah.
Okay.
I always just cup the whole avocado and then just kind of turn it.
But getting the pit out,
And
like,
then-
do you like
You
hit it
cut
with a
around
knife?
it then?
Yeah, and then I just like pop it out. Like I get it into 2 halves first, and then pop.
Right.
Pop
Yeah.
it
Mine
out.
never
How does
pops.
it
I have to
pop?
like, maybe if it's really ripe.
Well,
don't
I
know.
told the doctor that was stitching me up, if you can be quick, please, because I've got movie tickets. And
And
I
they
haven't-
did that all in time?
Oh, I was so fast. I bet we left the house at 6 and the movie started at 6:45. But it was Labor Day weekend. Everyone was out of town, so it was very.
Wow, that's a little
yeah.
miracle in
So-
itself.
And I got all my fall decor out.
Oh,
haven't done
I'm
that
like
yet.
I'm
No
halvesies. I'm in between now because having been gone, I'm
Yes.
like half summer and now. But now that the temperatures have dropped, it just feels
Yes,
like
I
you have
cleaned
to
my
pull it all
house
out
all
now.
weekend, and that felt fabulous. I've been so busy. And
But
so
it just
we were
feels good
going
to
to
get on
go
top of
somewhere, and then I just told her, I feel like I need to just get on
That's
top
exactly
of the house.
us. The
Like,
day
I just
before,
need to
we're
be
like,
here.
we don't mind if we just
No,
stay home.
I know. I kept talking about different places, and then I was just like, no. So we ended up like changing all the sheets and just doing some like
And
deep clean
celebrating
stuff.
your anniversary.
We did 29 years, you
Oh,
guys.
congrats!
29.
And Taylor was so cute at the football game. It was just getting, like, halftime was almost over, and I went up to the booth to check on them because he's the announcer. And he's like, I think you need to go sit down for this next song. And I was like, okay. And it was like the Neil Diamond song. And I was like, oh, I love this song. And he's like, yeah, you should go sit down and then listen to it. And I was like, okay. So I just go to sit down, and then my niece and nephew and they came, and so we started chatting, and then he kept like looking at me through the booth of the window, and I was like, this is weird. And so then all of a sudden he starts playing Richard Mark's song, which was me and Rhett's love song. And all of a sudden he's like, I just want to congratulate Rhett and Angie for 29 years. And I was like, it was so sweet, but me and Rhett were so awkward. He was like sitting down, I was standing up. All these people start looking at us. It's like, waving. He's like,
spotlight
it's
was
kind
on
of like
you.
kiss cam. Like, you should maybe kiss him or something.
And you didn't? You were just
no,
waving?
until after everyone had turned away, and then I kissed him, and I was like, that was weird.
Happy 29 years.
Right?
Next
Can you
year's your
believe
big
it?
3-0.
Yeah. We should go somewhere next year.
Hopefully you
Yeah.
can go somewhere next
Yes,
year.
we need to. COVID needs to be gone so we can go. But it was nice.
Have
It felt
either
good.
one of you downloaded Mulan off Disney Plus?
No.
Okay,
We
so did you?
Did you?
No, so that was kind of the plan when we came home from the Labor Day travels. We were going to sit and watch it on Disney Plus, but I think we're saving it until this weekend. So that's in the plans. Getting rave reviews, hearing wonderful things about it. So don't give it
I
away.
loved it.
I haven't watched this cartoon for
Years.
20 years. My kids, though they're adults, they love Disney, and so they've watched it. So they were like, well, it doesn't follow the storyline. So just when you watch it, just know
Okay.
it's not following the same storyline.
Not exact, but we
Okay.
loved it.
Did you watch it?
Uh-huh. We've seen it.
The new Mulan.
The new one, the live
Oh,
version.
not the new one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
The
no.
new one.
No,
They-
I
we're
was thinking
supposed-
Aladdin, but it's Mulan.
Oh, yes.
I was
it
thinking the
Yeah,
new
so
Aladdin.
my littles will be none the wiser because they haven't seen the original. So
Oh, maybe
so
you should
they'll-
watch
so
the
they'll love
original
it either
first.
way.
It's
but-
girl power all the way.
Is it? Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, then
there's
I'll have
some
to download.
storylines in it that's super, just like,
Powerful.
yeah, go.
Good.
Oh,
Okay.
guess what I did too?
What?
Because last show, we interviewed Operation Underground
Yes.
Railroad.
I saw you did something.
Yes, someone posted Ashley Stratton on social media, said that they were going to do a concert. This was Thursday night. I booked the concert on Saturday up in Midway, and Chris and I went up, and
Was it good?
It was so fabulous and beautiful. And that night, they raised nearly $30,000 for
heavens.
OUR. So just a shout out to our last show with OUR, fabulous concert and good cause.
Wow,
Good.
Good
Good
stuff.
job,
Busy
Space.
girls. Next on Studio Chatter, who's your favorite caterer? We'll talk with one of ours. Stay with us. Welcome back to Studio Chatter. Why does it seem when you go to an event that the food always tastes so wonderful? It just might be the caterer. Welcome Ashley Shepard from Sheps Culinary Creations. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, that's definitely the case with Sheps Catering.
Oh,
The
you're
food
sweet.
is always amazing.
I know. I've been able to work with Ashley just recently, and she's making food just way too good for our football team. It is delicious.
Oh, you guys are sweet. I love it. I've loved food for so long. I grew up in Mapleton, so I'm local, but I married a local guy here in Spanish Fork from Lakeshore, Brady Shepard, and that's kind of what brought us here. And now I'm going to die here.
And so what brought you into the food world?
Yeah, actually,
Because
the
Natasha
catering
also
world.
loves food, but she's not going to become a caterer.
Right.
Are
No,
She could maybe sell shoes one day.
I'm the sampler. I just want to eat all the food.
But do you love to like host parties
Oh,
at
I
your
love
house?
to host parties.
Yes.
Well, when we're not in the
No, that
the COVID
stresses me out, and I think it's the
situation.
food.
I know.
Honestly,
You are a total party host.
I know, but it stresses me out,
food
and
still
yeah,
stresses
the
you.
food.
Yeah.
To have enough to make it on time, to have
Yes.
it ready on time, and
Yeah.
in a big way.
I know. I've loved food since I literally can remember.
Okay.
And it kind of like the story is actually in my book of like how I got started into food in general,
Okay.
but into catering specifically. After I graduated high school, I got a job with a local caterer out of Provo, and every time I went, I would come home and be like, "Oh, Mom and Dad, I could do this, or I could do this better, or I could add my little touch here or there," and it just paid for me to go through BYU, and so I just never quit because I loved the events and I loved the food part of it, and it was helping me with my books and tuition. And so after I graduated from BYU, I actually went into family and consumer science because I wanted to be a foods teacher.
Oh.
And so I was a foods teacher at Orem Junior High, and then
Oh, I bet they loved you.
I bet they
loved
did.
it. I loved it so much. And then Salem Hills opened. And so I applied there and I got the job. And so I taught there for 2 years. But then my first 3 kids came in 3 years.
Wow.
I know. And so my mom was babysitting for me, and I just couldn't work full time at that point in my life. And so I quit Salem Hills, and that was really hard. I loved that.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't get over the food world. Like I loved it. Every time we would go to an event or a party, I'd be like, oh, I love this. I could have done this, or I could have done this. And
Right.
so I told my husband, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll start it one day. And then one of our mutual, like, best friends was getting married, and she called me and she's like, hey, I just met with a local caterer, and they want a lot of money to cater my wedding. And she's like, would you just give me some ideas of what we could maybe do for my wedding? And so I was like, yeah, for sure. So I met with her and her mom, and we, like, before the meeting was over, I was just like, how would I do it? How would I cater it?
Like you got so excited about
it.
it.
I said I was so excited. I didn't really know how I was going to do it because I had no equipment. And they kind of wanted a lot for,
Oh
you
my
know, they wanted
gosh.
hors d'oeuvres and appetizers and desserts. They wanted all these different things. And I was like, I'm going to try it. And so I just told them, if you'll pay for the groceries, I'll totally cater your wedding.
Wow.
And of course they were like, heck yeah, you know.
Right.
And this was a
Win-win.
friend.
Yeah, and this was a
okay.
really good friend of
Are
ours.
you still friends?
Oh yeah, we are. We're still good friends. Yeah.
And it turned out fabulous,
It
I'm
was the
sure.
hardest wedding I've ever done to date. Like, we started outside, it started pouring rain.
Oh, of course it did.
So then we went inside, and then like 45 minutes later it stopped raining, so then she wanted everything back outside. So we took everything back out. And I'm not kidding you, to date, it was the hardest wedding I've done. Not even just because I was inexperienced, it was just literally the hardest
And you
wedding I've
kept
ever done.
going.
But I remember laying in bed, like we didn't get done cleaning up until like 11 o'clock. And I got in bed and was just like, I loved everything about this. Like everything that happened, I was in love with. And so that's how Sheps kind of was born, is I
Okay.
was just like, I can do this. I'm gonna find a way to do it. And so we looked around for a commercial kitchen for a long time, and they're pretty expensive. And so we kind of put our resources together and we're like, if we're gonna do this, let's just build a house that has a commercial
Oh.
kitchen attached to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because my kids were still babies at this time, like still toddlers.
Yeah.
And so that we bought some property in Lakeshore, and then we built a house out there. And currently, right now, it has a commercial kitchen attached to it. So it's not part of my house, but you can access it from my house.
Right.
Your house.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, when you get a catering gig, is it mostly weddings, or like what are some of the other types of events you cater?
Yeah. So I would say 80% of what we do is weddings.
Okay.
But we do a lot. We do a lot of corporate events as well. A lot of like high school reunions. A lot of family reunions. I don't know. It's kind of all over the place. But there's something special about weddings. I love weddings.
Yeah.
So.
So what's your specialty? What's your specialty food?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say our most requested is our tri-tip steak. Our tri-tip steak and our mashed potato, like garlic mashed potatoes. I get more requests for that than any other thing.
And I actually have tasted it because you did that for your Easter special, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I
Isn't
did.
that what it was?
Yeah.
Which was so awesome, you guys. She did on Instagram where you could purchase like your Easter dinner. Was it Easter or Mother's Day? Maybe it was
Or
Mother's Day.
No,
Thanksgiving?
I'm thinking it was. I don't remember.
It was probably Mother's Day.
I think it was
but
Mother's
you could
Day.
buy like the meal kit, and she had rolls
Yeah.
and the tri-tip mashed potatoes. It was all done.
Yeah.
And so then we just put it in the
Wow.
oven.
Well, that was
It
kind of like
amazing.
a COVID-19 we had to get super creative.
And it was
Because
yum.
things had slowed down, and you're like,
Yeah.
how can we make? Okay.
Yeah. But
It
yeah,
was
you just
creative,
picked
but it was good.
everything was made.
Yep.
Except the meat. The meat was just marinated.
Yep.
And then you had to put it on your smoker or barbecue or however. But everything else you just put in the oven.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then what made you, well, or this might be a silly question, a book? Like a lot of caterers don't make, is this a cookbook?
Yeah, so the cookbook actually this is probably a little bit closer to my heart than the catering company. I really wanted to write a book that encompassed why I loved food and the whole reason behind it. And obviously the whole reason behind why I love food is it connects people. You don't ever go to an event, a gathering, a meeting, whatever you're doing without food. And so there's just this special connection that food has with people. And I really wanted to write a book about that and kind of share like just my life experiences and with food, all of it kind of encompassed. And the publishing company was kind of like, yeah, we hate that idea.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay, great. That's okay, right? Like people are
But I do.
rejected all the time. It's
Yes.
not like the first time this ever happened to me. And so they came back and they're like, we don't like that idea, but we love the catering. And we love this idea that you can take full-size meals and make them bite-sized. So everything I do, from like pot roast to tri-tip, whatever, I've created bite-sized versions of that you could throw at a party,
Oh, I'd love
at an
that.
event, everything. And the fact that like people that are local, like they
Yeah.
know me, they've been to a lot of events, and they're like, and they'll text me and be like, hey, can I have your recipe for garlic mashed potatoes, or can I have your recipe for that? And I was texting people all the time these recipes, and I'm like, why am I
can't.
doing this?
Right.
I should just create a cookbook that you could just buy our recipes if you want them.
Is that rare though to be asked, like as a professional, can I
Right.
have your recipe? I would assume
like trade
people would not
secrets.
share
I know,
that.
but do you want to know like one of my worst flaws? I like can't say no. It's such a bad thing. You guys.
Well, you're
I-
such a sweetheart.
It's such a bad thing. If someone really wants something, I'll be like, okay, I'll just give you the recipe, whatever.
And it's probably being shared anyway, right?
Yeah, like, so I don't know. There's probably a couple of my recipes that I probably wouldn't give out.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's an open book, right? Like if people really want their event catered, the food is great. I think our food is great. But more than the food, it's the service and the stress-free.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So if you're gonna have it catered, you're gonna have it catered.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily just gonna like take my recipes and go do it. And if you do, then it's okay too. So, but the cookbook, the cookbook has a ton of our recipes. Our most popular recipes are in here, but it kind of tells the story at the beginning of like how I got into food, why I love it so much, and then just they are good recipes.
So
And
where
I love,
can we get this book?
yes.
Yeah, so this book is on Amazon.
Okay.
Okay.
If you just search Blissful Bites, it's there. Or you can buy it directly from Cedar Fort Publishing, which is right in Springville.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Like
how do we
drive
reach
on
out to you
over?
to book an
You
event?
ever drove over there?
No.
Yeah, so to book an event, you can go to our website, which is shepsculinarycreations.com, or obviously social media is super popular. So if you just go to Sheps Culinary Creations Utah, you can send us a message and we can give you more information about how to book an event.
And then tell us a quick tidbit.
Yes.
You're just opening an event center.
Yes,
Very
so
soon.
Quickly
because
about that.
because we grew really quickly, the catering company kind of was a hobby, and then the hobby turned into a full-time job very quickly, which I love. But we outgrew the commercial kitchen that we're in now, and so I had two choices at that point. I could just build a commercial kitchen somewhere in Spanish Fork, or we could build an event center that would host Sheps Culinary Creations kitchen, and then also be able to host different events. So we're going to specialize a lot in weddings, but one of the cool things or the feedback, I guess, that I got from the city when I initially wanted to do the event center is to create a place that the community can come and partake of different events. And I loved that. Like there's so many different places throughout the state of Utah that have event centers where they do, Valentine's dinners or breakfast with Santa or the tea for Mother's Day, like just little things that really create those relationships within your own community.
Right.
And that's what I love. That's what I love about food is that it brings people together. And so I love weddings and I'm excited for those, but I'm also excited to see the community get involved and come to these local events. Like that's the part that I'm
will
like
be
so
fun.
excited about.
Ashley, tell us when the event center
Is going to open?
projected to be open.
So we're projected to open probably June 1st.
Okay.
It's going to be done before then, but I hesitate even saying before then because you just never know with weather or
And with
contracting.
COVID and different
yes,
things
like
that
you
have
just don't
happened.
know. So we
Right.
are taking reservations June 1st and on
Okay.
for 2021.
Best of luck.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yes.
You're
Thank you so
fabulous.
much.
Thank you so
really
much.
are.
Thanks.
Coming up next, we'll talk about what's happening in the real estate world. Stay with us on Studio Chatter. Welcome back to Studio Chatter. The housing market has been so crazy for a year or two. Our next guest knows that all too well. Welcome Shelly Jamison, a realtor with the iPro Realty Network, to our table. Welcome.
Welcome. Wow. We have a lot of questions for you with the market like it is.
Good.
So first of all, before we get into questions, tell us a little bit about you.
Let's see. I have been married almost 20 years this year, and I have 3 kids.
Wow.
We live in Spanish Fork. They all go to school in Spanish Fork. Lived in Spanish Fork for 13 years, so
Okay.
it's been a good little community. I've watched it grow from when we moved here to now.
How long have you been an agent?
I've been an agent a little over 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been great.
How many times have you moved?
How many times have I moved? Well, gosh, probably like 10 times. We lived in California
Really?
before we lived here, and so we moved quite a few times there before we moved to Utah. So.
Well, I remember back in the day when Stacy and I first moved here. I grew up in Provo, actually, and I remember we were looking around for affordable housing, and we found this little place, Salisbury, in Spanish Fork, and I was like, I will never stay there. Like, I'll come down to Spanish Fork for a minute, and then I'll sell that house, make some money, and then move back. And we just fell in love with the
Yep,
community.
you're here now for good.
It's been a couple homes later, but now we're like looking at that place where okay, we've lived in our home for 15 plus years. Is it time to maybe like change about, how is the market? What is it like now compared to then?
Your first question, it's a great time to move into your forever home.
Okay.
Because interest rates are so low. Like, I was talking to a lender today, the 30-year conventional is around 2.6, 2.7. Wow. So you're saving thousands of dollars off the life of the loan. So it's a really good time. Because
is it a good time to sell and to buy? Like, I always feel like it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market. Like,
it's definitely a seller's market.
Okay.
It's a wonderful time to sell. You're going to get over asking, you're going to get multiple offers, you're going to be able to choose who you want to live in your home, basically. But buying is another story. It is a harder time to buy right now, but with the right agent, you can do it.
What does the process of buying right now when there's not as many houses on the market, right? Or it can pop up for sale that day, but
And be gone.
it will be gone by the end of the day.
Yes, that is
Like,
correct.
What's the process?
So the process is, first you need to get pre-approved, always.
Okay.
In this market, any agent who sells a lot of homes will not even take you to look at homes until you're pre-approved.
Okay.
You have to talk to a lender first, see what you qualify for. That's the first step always. The second step is hiring a great agent who's available to you and is local. That's really important.
Okay.
Sometimes you're like, well, my uncle sells real estate so-and-so way over here. But in this market, you have to be able to see the house that day. Like you said, it will be off the market that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know we had some random people like calling us saying, are you interested in selling your home? And I was like, where'd you get my number? Like, this is so weird. And then I'm like, maybe this is a sign? I don't know. But I guess in the market is thus that people are out looking for homes.
And that's normal. Like if I have a client that wants to live in a certain area, I have no problem knocking on people's doors saying, I have somebody who wants to live in your area. Are you willing to sell your home?
I know another realtor that's out looking for someone that's coming from out of state, and he says, yeah, I'm over in Salem just knocking some doors.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so it's a thing.
yes.
I thought it was like a weird
It's a
sales
thing.
call. But
It might be a weird sales call,
Okay.
too, but it's a thing. Yes, people are desperate to live in certain areas, and this is what you have to do sometimes. You have to hire the right person that will do those things for you.
right. Because maybe someone that's on the fence is then contacted and then they're like,
yeah.
okay.
So what has your life been like lately? What is it about COVID-19 especially that has really prompted the market to just take off?
Yeah, well, the first thing is that Utah's economy is #1 in the nation. We have a really strong economy. I think they've done a good job. When we did close down during COVID, we still tried to do what we could. And then when we opened up, we were smart about it and kept the economy strong. And we've been pretty strong for a couple years now. So that has definitely driven people to move here. And then with COVID, the interest rates went way down and they're still hovering really low. And so people just, this is the time to buy. You're really going to save. When I talked to the lender, he said it's around $75,000 to $100,000 you're going to save, more purchasing power because of the interest rates. You're going to pay less on interest and more towards principal. So it really is a good time and everyone notices that. And then it kind of fuels itself. When people hear people buying, they get the idea to buy and it just, it's almost like a frenzy, yeah.
So my guess would be that if you are wanting to build, the builders are a little further out than normal to just go get a lot today and start within a month and be done in 5 months?
That doesn't happen anymore.
Okay.
So to build with a builder, you're at least 8 to 9 months before you can start to finish.
Okay.
And there's bidding wars on lots right now. So it's the days of where you went to go pick out, like, this is the lot I want and this is the house I want, that doesn't happen.
Oh my gosh.
You have to be on a wait list, and then it's wild.
Okay.
So you really, that's another thing, is a real estate agent can help you building a home, and the commission is paid for by the builder, so you don't have to pay anything. When you're a buyer in Utah, very rarely do you ever have to pay for the agent. So why not have someone in your corner?
Yeah.
So we know what it's like to build new construction. We know what timelines are. We know what should be done and what shouldn't be done, and we're just watching out for your best interest.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always heard that phrase, like, leave it to the professionals. And sometimes it really does pay to pay, wherever that is.
Yes.
But in this way, yes, you know what to do and
It can
where
be
to go.
very expensive if you make a mistake.
Yes.
And you can get taken advantage of. There are people out there that will take advantage of people who don't know what they're doing and think they can sell their home by themselves. And can it be done? Absolutely.
But drawing out the contracts and
The
all
contracts,
those particulars.
and really, if someone is in it to take advantage of you, they can. And you won't know it. And you'll be in a court, and it can just be a huge mess. So,
Shelly, I want to ask you about affordable housing. What does affordable housing look like right now? Like, what does the property look like? And what is that price point right now in the Spanish Fork area?
Affordable housing is, I guess that could be up to decide what you think affordable housing is.
True.
Right? So the average home right now in Spanish Fork in the last 30 days, I looked today, the average price is $370.
And what size of a home is that?
That's average. So that's not the most expensive and that's not the cheapest.
$370?
Yeah, $370. And it sells in 8 days. That's the average. Now, I would say most homes are not 8 days. But that also includes like homes that are really expensive, which tend to sit longer because there's not everyone that can afford them. So $370, yeah. So I would say if you can find a townhome under $250, $275,
You're lucky.
that's
You're
your starter
lucky.
home. And it will
And
probably
it's a
need some work.
townhome now.
It's a townhome.
Yeah, so these newlyweds, in their 20s, buying their first place, most likely it's going to be a townhome.
Yes,
they're
but
gonna
there
have to
are
spend a lot
programs
more.
out there, and I want people to know about it because there is something called a USDA rural loan, and that is in rural areas, which is always considered in the census when it's determined what a rural area is. So because this is a census year, the boundaries will be realigned, I would say, the beginning of 2021. So you have just a little bit of time. If you are south of Spanish Fork or Eagle Mountain or over that way to Willa, it's considered a rural loan that you have to see if you qualify. Not everyone qualifies with their finances, but you can go out there and zero down payment.
So for example, if,
Like Santa
if someone
Quinn
in
or
their
something?
20s
Yes.
or even Payson, they can get those loans?
Yes.
So it's still the good interest rate, but zero down.
Zero down. You do have to pay closing costs, but if
Okay.
you can get in with some builders, if they still have something available, if you use their preferred lender, they'll usually give you like say $3,000 towards closing costs. So you can literally, I have clients getting in homes in Santa Quinn, brand new homes. They get to pick out everything, and they're paying like $3,500. That's it to get into their home. So you can, and I know people are like, but I don't want to live in Santa Quinn, but that's okay. You live there for a few years, you build equity, you sell, and then you use that money to get to where you want. So that's the market
Or
we're
like
in.
Angie, you probably built in Spanish
Or you
Fork,
fall in love with Santa
because
Quinn and live there.
25 years ago,
Right.
it was a lot less expensive.
Right.
So you
And now
build
it's
down
my
here
home.
and you love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt anyone will go to Santa Quinn and love it like they do Spanish Fork, of course.
Never.
But
Well, it's always an
But it
investment,
is.
right?
It's I mean, you have to look
It's
at
a
it as a stepping stone. And a lot of people are like, but I don't want to do that. And I'm like, this
It's
is
part
just
of
the
it.
But
market
this was my
in Utah.
stepping stone. I could have gone somewhere else, but I fell in love with this. But it was.
Yeah.
It gave us a good down payment for the next
Yeah.
place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Is there a race per se to get it done because it's an election year? Are people trying to get it done?
You know, no, I don't think so. I mean, it's been such a weird year anyway. That,
Right.
like,
there's no rhyme or reason.
I mean, you know, it's 2020. If anything goes,
Anything
right?
goes.
Yeah. So it is a really good time to buy a home.
What is your favorite part about being a realtor?
I get to set my own hours, which can be a downside too.
I was going to say, I think your profession would be one of the most
because
difficult.
you're just on all the time.
I'm on all the time. I try
Yeah.
to be there for my clients all the time, which I know there needs to be boundaries, and there is boundaries. I mean, my
Right.
phone shuts off, and if you call me or text me, I'm not going to get it till I wake up or whatever. But
Yeah.
I like to overly communicate with my clients. When you're doing the biggest purchase of your life, I should be available to you
Yeah.
most
And
of
an
the time.
emotional purchase for women.
Yes.
It's a
Yeah.
very emotional
It is.
purchase or sell, right?
Right. We're therapists and we're real
Yes,
estate
you
agents
are.
and everything else. Yes.
And Shelly, I love how engaged you are, like on your Facebook, where a lot of people
Yeah.
can follow you. In our local community, you are constantly updating residents of like what's happening. So people that are following you, they can kind of find out what's happening in Spanish Fork, what's the city doing,
Yes.
and what's happening in this
Yes.
community.
I mean, I want to be the expert in Spanish Fork. I want people to come to me if they want to know what's going on. I know, because it's really important when you build a house and it's across the street from a field, what's going in there?
Right.
Because that might determine your home value, and I'm going to know what's going in
Absolutely.
there. That's my job. That's part of my job, I feel like. There are agents that maybe don't feel like that's their job, but I feel like that is my job, to
Right.
know what's coming and to know what's going on in Spanish Fork.
And most likely, if you're moving in by a field, the field's not going to be there
No, it's
too long.
It's not. It's not going to be there. If there
But
is
it
a
could be
field,
the
let me know, because I
All
know
Abilities
somebody
Park,
wants to
which
buy
would be
it.
fabulous, and then you would
This
know.
is true.
Oh, Shelly, you're awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
If
thank
somebody
you.
is interested in buying or selling, how can they get a hold of you?
They can give me a call.
Okay.
My number is 801-362-6508, or they can follow me, Shelly Jamison Realtor, on Facebook or Instagram.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Thanks for
Thanks
joining
so
us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Stay with us for more studio chatter. Welcome back to Studio Chatter. It's reported that every 73 seconds, another American is sexually assaulted. The numbers are staggering, but the scars left behind are life-changing. To talk more about how we can find help, welcome Brittney Herman from the We Will organization to the Chatter. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's so good to
Your-
be back. I'm
your
glad to be
second
here.
time.
Yes.
Thanks for being here
Those
to
numbers.
educate us further.
Those numbers are staggering and
Yeah.
scary. 73
They
seconds.
are. Yeah, they're really difficult to listen to and to understand. Also, in Utah, it's actually a little bit higher because in Utah, 1 in 3 women will experience sexual violence during her lifetime, whereas in the rest of the nation, the average is 1 in 5. It's actually the only violent crime in Utah where the rates are higher than the rest of the nation.
I was going to say, and why?
I think
do we
it's-
know?
I mean, personally, I believe it's lack of education, and that's what my studies show, and that's what my nonprofit is all about, is bringing this education to people, so that way they understand sexual assault and understand it's wrong, and we can prevent it through education.
So what is We Will? Is that?
Yes, so We Will is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the prevention and mitigation of sexual assault, which we do through formal and informal education, community growth, and survivor support. The formal and informal education looks like, community events or various resources on our website for parents or for survivors. Community growth is a similar thing, and then survivor support is sharing their stories and helping them recognize the resources available to them.
So what is the actual definition, if you will, of sexual assault?
So sexual assault kind of has a lot of different definitions that people qualify it as, but the definition that I prefer to use is any sexual act that was not consented to. So any non-consensual sexual act.
And sometimes when we're in a relationship, we feel like that's given that person maybe the permission to do
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and I
because
think
we
that
love
that's-
them or whatever, and maybe that's something to be said about it, Utah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially in Utah where sexual education is kind of so limited, that's part of the problem, is that people in relationships think that there's continuous consent, whereas that's not the case, or they don't understand that they need consent in any given situation, so they don't pursue it, and then when things go too far, for one person, that person is forever traumatized.
Wow, this is tough. Like, how widespread is this? And do you have numbers to back up your information?
Yes, so it's 1 in 3 women in Utah, and the rest of the nation is about 1 in 5. But it really varies. So in New Jersey, for example, the rate is incredibly low. It's 16.3 for every 100,000 people experience a sexual assault, and that's fairly low. Whereas in Alaska, it's 116 per 100,000 persons. So those numbers are, I'm sorry, those aren't sexual assault, those are rape numbers. Okay. And so it really varies by state, and it varies by people's experiences, but those are the numbers. They're hard to recognize.
Wow.
Do you think in Utah, is it because the conversation is so taboo and just because nobody wants to talk about it, or what is the difference?
And I wonder too, with our main religion focus, that it says abstinence, and shying away from that. So if it does happen, there's a sense of guilt
And shame.
or shame, and so they don't dare reach out or say something. I don't know. I just feel like that has something.
That's very similar to the experience that I had. I was sexually assaulted, but I thought I'd put myself in this situation. There was this cultural shame around it that then I didn't seek help and I didn't even initially recognize a sexual assault. And that's why I believe education is so critically important, is because it's not only teaching would-be perpetrators what is wrong, but it's teaching would-be victims what is wrong as well, so that way they can seek help if something happens to them. And to answer your question about Utah, I do believe it's because it is so taboo. I completed a study last year that surveyed the states with the highest rate of rape and the states with the lowest rate of rape and their sexual education laws, and found a very strong correlation between the quality and quantity of sexual education and the rate of sexual assault, meaning that sexual education and talking about sex helps to reduce the rates of sexual assault. And none of these conversations have to be overtly very sexual. It's just consent is an everyday topic that comes up every day in non-sexual situations, but it's so important to preventing sexual assault.
Okay. And the perpetrators might be someone you know.
They're
not
most
necessarily
often someone you know.
strangers. Okay.
Yes, and I believe it's 87% of cases, it's someone that the victim knows.
That high?
Yes.
Wow.
It's incredibly high. It's acquaintance sexual assault very frequently. It's familial sexual assault, or oftentimes it's someone that you love. I mean, for me, it was a boyfriend at the time, and it was, you know, it was someone that I knew, and I thought I knew quite intimately, and knew that that would never happen to me.
Brittney, can you tell us about the trauma that a survivor goes through? Right.
Oh, trauma is so different for every survivor. For me personally, it was PTSD, suicidal thoughts, random little things would trigger me, and I'd have like a panic attack. I just couldn't function. I couldn't get through my day. I developed an eating disorder. Just a vast amount of horrible things happen when you have been sexually assaulted, because you don't know how to process that trauma. Sexual assault and trauma in general rewires your brain to think in a different way, and you have to shift away from that. Survivors struggle with all manner of symptoms after their sexual assault, and it's something that we do need to take incredibly seriously, and to let them know what resources are there.
So do you think that those side effects were worse because you didn't talk about it? Like, if you were able to talk to someone immediately, do you think that would have helped some of that side effect?
Absolutely, because I carried around guilt and shame for years for something that I didn't even do on purpose. And
was done to you.
Exactly, what was done to me. And I talked negatively to myself about what had happened, but I didn't recognize that the trauma was connected to it. And it was once I was able to get into therapy and speak about it and to feel more open about my experience that I really began to heal. And that's the case for most survivors. I had another incident relatively recently with a sexual assault that, because I knew what resources were available, I was immediately able to speak up about it. And although I don't know if I'm truly healed from that, it was much easier to get through.
So where is the best place to reach out if something like this has happened? What's your first best place?
The best place to reach out is to someone in your community, your support network. So that can be a family member, and if you have a family member who you believe is willing to support you, I believe that you should reach out to them. If not, then a close friend. And if a close friend isn't available, then some other authority figure in your life. So perhaps a teacher, a church leader, someone like that who will be able to help you through the experience.
At what point do you go to the police?
Right.
That is such a tricky thing for survivors, because some survivors don't want to go to the police because things will be dredged up from their past, or simply they're just not interested in reliving the trauma. They just want to forget about it and leave it alone. So it really is up to the survivor what they are interested in doing. I think that the point to go to the police is at any point in which you feel comfortable. I went to the police for my first sexual assault 3 years after it happened.
Okay.
I just was not ready before then. And my more recent one, it took me a day. It didn't take me any time at all. So I think the best time is when the survivor is ready, because if you're not ready yet, you're going to re-trigger yourself and put yourself further in trauma.
Is it ever too late?
Right.
No, it's never too late. It might be too late to seek legal ramifications for the individual, but it's never too late to report them, to let the community know that they are potentially dangerous to others, or to just get that closure for yourself.
Is We Will involved in any type of legislation?
Yes, absolutely. We Will is massively involved in legislation.
that's
It's
good
one
to
of our
hear.
biggest things, yes, because we do believe, and the studies have shown, the research shows, that sexual education can reduce the rate of sexual assault. So my goal, and We Will's goal, is to get that sexual education, which has been proven to reduce the rate, into our public schools in such a way that it reduces sexual assault while still leaving to parents the opportunity to dictate what their child learns. So this looks like having opt-in programs where the parent has the choice on whether their student will receive this education, but also educating all parents of the curriculum that will be taught involving consent, coercion, refusal skills.
So Brittney, what specific legislation are you working on right now?
So We Will has put forth 2 bills to the Utah legislators. The first is to define consent, because consent is actually not defined in Utah laws. If you go to the definition of consent, it only says what consent is not, but that doesn't tell us what it is. Consent is a freely given, knowledgeable, and informed agreement between 2 parties. That's as simple as it is, and that's the definition that we want Utah to adopt.
Do other states have that description?
So other states do not yet have that
So we
description.
would be the
Pennsylvania, yes, Pennsylvania is working on it. There are a couple of other states that are working on it. I've been working with the Consent Awareness Network who developed that definition, and they're working all across the United States to bring that definition to the states. And then additionally, we have a health education amendments bill, which would introduce the concepts of consent, coercion, and further codify refusal skills in Utah education. And that's something that I've been working with We Will Utah on, which is a state chapter of We Will, because now We Will has grown so much that we have state chapters as well, which I'm so thankful for.
Congratulations.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
How long ago did you start this up?
Just over a year. So
No way. So when you were here last, you had just started
just
this.
barely started, I
And
think a
look
few
at
months
it.
prior. I know, it's because people believe in this. It's so important people understand how important it is to prevent assault rather than simply assisting survivors, even though that's incredibly important as well. We want to get it before it happens.
Well, Brittney, I think our culture right now is in a place where they can talk about certain things, and I like, just with the pandemic, I've like, things aren't a light switch, they're more like a dial. And this has been talked about and talked
a
about,
pendulum
and
that's
now
kind of
it can just
swinging.
move forward and some
Yes, we're ready,
traction,
and
yes.
it's growing faster than I could have ever anticipated. for it.
Congratulations,
Thank
and
you.
good
thank
for you.
Yeah, good
Good
for
for you.
everyone.
And then on the other end, you've wrote a book.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about
Yes,
that.
I actually brought you guys copies of the
You
book.
did?
Yeah, so I'll hold one and then you can
Oh,
pass
thank
those.
you.
So this book is called Do You Want a Cookie? It's a children's book, and it teaches children about consent in everyday situations. We will actually allows it for free download for anybody who's interested in it. And then copies, I'm not sure of the exact price right now, but I believe they're only $7. So this is meant to be a resource for parents or caregivers or potentially teachers. And really, it has to start a portion that says Dear Adult. And it just talks about what this book is meant to do, just to teach about consent in innocuous situations. So, you know, the whole concept of do you want a cookie? You wouldn't offer your friend a cookie or force them to eat a cookie if they didn't want to, so you ask consent. And obviously, we can see the parallel there. So there are various scenes that take apart in the book. And at the end of the book, there's an appendix that is the most helpful tool for parents and teachers and caregivers. Because what it does is each scene aligns with a concept of consent that's important for children to learn in order to prevent sexual assault. And so this just aligns every single scene and how to teach your children about consent from this. Yeah, and it's so
Little
great because
educational tool.
exactly. And once you read it to your children as they get older, you can start introducing those sexual concepts to them. I mean, even if they're an adult, you can still show them this, and it just
Pardon, I just want to look this one second.
okay.
Wow.
Oh, you are
No, I
doing
think
such
that's great.
important work. Thank you so much, and congratulations on your recent graduation from
Thank
BYU
you.
Law School.
Thank you.
You're going
They're so
places,
lucky
girl.
to have you.
Thank
Just
you.
a year ago when we met her, like we could see that, but just to look back and think of the growth in the past year.
I know, and I even told you guys about this book during that
I
interview. It's like,
remember.
it's gonna happen, and it's happened. It's here. It's
Oh
tangible.
my
So
gosh.
I'm glad you guys can enjoy it with me.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Best of luck.
Keep up the great work. There's more studio chatter coming up. Welcome back to Studio Chatter, another winner of a show. What did we learn today?
Kate, they were all super.
Yeah,
Like,
like it really was a fabulous show.
Yeah.
Like we talked about.
Okay,
Okay.
I really do. Every fall when we transition, I want to start baking more. So to get a new cookbook,
Very, very exciting.
super excited about that.
Well,
I'm
and then on the
excited about a
side-
new event center too.
Right.
Next year, that's going to be
On
awesome.
the side, she told me about her pasta salad recipe, which is super easy. So I feel like I could make
You can
that.
do
It's
that.
like 3 ingredients, maybe 4. Really easy.
Wow,
I know.
you can do that.
I can do that. I'll try it. She's darling.
Yeah.
She's been helping us out with football stuff, and
So,
she's really amazing.
And thanks, Shelly. We called her this morning. She was here. It's always
Wow.
scary to come on for someone new, let alone.
She was super smart.
I know.
She knew her stuff.
She knows
Super
her
I
stuff.
felt
educated
confident
about
What a
this.
with
market.
using her.
It really is. It's a crazy
I
market
feel bad
right now.
for like our children that are just trying to buy their first home, but maybe that's what our parents thought about us.
I know.
I don't know. I remember our interest rate was like 7.9 or something
Yeah.
weird though.
Yeah, it was a lot higher.
It was crazy.
So a shout out on social media. We did a fantastic giveaway. We recently teamed up with Mia's Boutique and Salon de la Paz, and we had like 300 people almost
That's
enter
so awesome.
to win. So our viewers out there, be sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram under Studio Chatter, because this giveaway was, I think, close to about $140.
Absolutely.
so awesome.
So it was fun. It was
Yep.
a
Let's
good
do it
Emily
again.
walked away with what? A pair of jeans, a scalp treatment, a book, and a mug.
and a
So-
haircut.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Fabulous.
So fun. Congratulations,
So
Emily.
follow us, Studio
Yeah.
Chatter.
So do you guys also know it's opening up right now?
All Abilities Park. I drive by every day
my
and it just
gosh.
looks fabulous.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm just
It's going to be amazing.
I already think the parking lot may be too small.
Yes, I was thinking that.
And at the very last minute, we bought an extra acre of land
oh, really?
for future parking, thinking we may
We
need it,
may need
or
it.
we may need more.
It's like the pickleball court thing where you're like, should we make more or not? Aren't you guys so
I
glad?
know, yeah.
We could use more.
You guys, this park is going to be
So I know
fabulous.
my kids get super excited driving by because I mean you can see bits and pieces of what's there, but the unique thing is that it is all abilities. So there are things that are very specific to, you know, the wheelchairs can have access to certain things, and then you can see some things with the water. Like what are some of the things that,
It'll be a waterfall.
okay, it's a waterfall, it is.
Yeah, but
okay.
you can go up a ramp because they say kids love to be elevated. But even grown-ups, don't you love
Yes.
to be up above something looking down? So there'll be ramps on both sides of this mountain, and then there's like a landing with a railing so the wheelchairs or people can walk up there, and then you're looking down over all of the park.
Can you go inside the
Yes,
mountain?
you can go
It
inside
looks
the
like it.
mountain.
Okay.
And inside there's a big dinosaur skeleton bones with cameras everywhere. I've already had people say, are there cameras in there?
Yes.
Yes, we made sure that we had cameras in there. But then the waterfall comes down, and then you can walk behind the waterfall, and then the waterfall goes down, and it's just like a couple inches.
Is it like
of
the St.
water
George
flowing
one
down.
where you can
Mhm.
kind of
go
run
in
through
and
it
play.
and-
Hills where the kids can roll down, swings, treehouse, zip lines. I mean,
So neat.
pavilions. It's just going to be
Oh, the
fantastic.
little zip
Our
line.
grandkids are going to love
Yeah,
that.
there's a sensory garden for, you know, where it can be a little more quiet when some of these kids get overstimulated, or parents. Yeah.
Right.
It's going to be an
Wow.
awesome asset to Spanish Fork City.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's gorgeous.
They have
It
worked
really
so
is.
hard. I mean, you just
The past
see.
few days to get ready for the
Yeah.
opening, they worked like all Labor Day and they were out
Well,
there
up
all
to
night.
that, like all summer, like
Right.
it was 7 days a week sometimes, till 8 or 9.
Yeah.
They would be there. So take the kids,
Yeah.
grandkids,
Good job,
kids.
City.
Does it again.
Yep.
Good job.
Super
Yay.
lucky.
Happy fall.
Yes.
Thanks.
Here it is.
I'll go decorate. I'll do it. It's time.
Thanks for being here with us. We hope you enjoyed the chatter. Stay safe.